so that I can something. Hi guys, welcome, and welcome again. Just looking to talk to some opposition, have some conversations, literally about anything. You could be a op on the left, you could be an op on the right. It doesn't matter. I just don't give a fuck. I just want to hear your conversations. Do 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 do. Too bright? Is that not so bright? Hold on, I got it. Sweden is here again. Go Sweden! Is that fine? And can you guys hear me all right, or am I screaming? Is it this? Can you hear me through this? Is this what you're hearing me through? Or is it this? Which one are you hearing me through? Tell me, like, for example, are you hearing me through this microphone? Thank you so much, Anstand. Or are you hearing me through this? It's the earbud? God fuck. Shit. Why? Why? This? Or is it through this? Or is it through this? Or is it through this one? The blue one. Fucking kill. I can't do that. Okay. Still earbud. Well, I know I got a cord somewhere. Hi guys. Maybe it's both, but better through the bud. Well, I think it'll be good through this if I can get it. Did I plug this in the right hole? No, I did not. Well, no, because I want it to sound crisp. Okay. We're just gonna plug this thing in. Is this left? This is right. Right. Okay. Where are you and how have I been? Oh my god, is it you? Yeah, it's you. I've been good. Just doing whatever. You are my op for life, Diva. Okay, well I think you're cooler than some of my other ops, Neocoom. So if you want to come up here and is that better? Is this better, guys? Is this fine? Is it like really good or is it trash? Better? Okay, I'll put you guys right here. Boop. Very good. Is it too loud? What happens when I do this? Is this, oh my god. I can hear myself speak? Is this like, am I screaming now? Am I yelling?
You sound good.
No. Okay, as long as that's solid quality, I guess that's fine. I'm gonna invite some people up. If you want to come up. Liam, do you want to come up? Aaron, the Democratic No Kings anti-MAGA. Well, you seem lit. If you're an op in any kind of way, you can come up. And you can literally any kind of op. If you're someone on the left who thinks I'm like Satan reincarnated, you're welcome. If you're someone on the right who thinks that I'm like a crazy bald feminist, you're welcome. I gotta get used to the fact that I'm plugged into something. Okay. LaCroix, man. Okay, I know it's LaCroix, but I heard a Canadian call it LaCroix. She had me convinced that that's what they call it. Satanism is rational. Yeah, I don't think a person's rationale depends on their religion. I think it depends on the person. Wired always sounds better. I know it's dumb. Can you guys hear me swallow? I'm not gonna sit here and drink if you guys can hear me swallow. This shit makes my eyes water. Oh, yeah, you can hear me swallow? Fuck, nah. That's just too much. Nope. I can't make too loud of noises either. What? I'm looking for oppositions. If you're in opposition. This was a weird thing to scroll into. Yeah, I mean, it's Mercedes motherfucking Chandler. What did you expect? Don't overthink it. No, I'm just an awkward person. Just drink filtered water. It's right there, man. What's up? Howdy. What's the argument? Whatever you want it to be. I'll argue about whatever the fuck you want. They're just gonna hear you, like, doing that in the background, and they're gonna be like, what is that? It's 1:04 a.m. in Sweden. That's pretty cool. If you're in opposition, if you want to argue about something, you can come up and argue. Actually, I'm an op and an ally, depending on your topic. Cool, cool. What would you like to argue? I think I got some pretty hot takes. What do I think about Pope 14th? He's poping out. He's pretty pope-tastic. The pope-tastic of the popiest. For sure, man. Chicago, is that where he's from? Is he a Chicago pope?
Is the temperature okay?
It's a little bit hot, I'd say. If you want to argue about something, I want to argue about cereal or milk first. I highly doubt that's what you want to argue about, Liam. But it's definitely cereal. I want to talk about... You don't want to talk about 7.3 turbo diesels? Why not? Hi, Scratch.
Oh, what's up?
Hi. Scratch.
Oh, shit.
This is the first time seeing you on camera, buddy.
Yeah.
Hi. Wait, so you're a whole
I
ass...
usually do cover my own lives, and
Yeah.
I felt like I should do it today.
You're a whole ass influencer, man. Do you make
Oh,
videos?
I'm already there. No, fuck no.
No?
That shit. Well, the only video I did make, it was like do you know like the Bomb Iran song, like Bomb Bomb Bomb, that one?
Yes, I'm familiar.
Yeah, I made that, and it was like a clip of Trump at the start going like, "I'm not gonna start any wars, I'm gonna end wars." That's the only video I think I've ever made, or put any time into like actually editing.
I think you'd be good
Yeah.
at making videos. Is this ASMR?
I probably would. Scratch, you became famous. Don't forget about John Colt. Became. Oh, you mean become? Okay. I was like, I'm not famous.
I'm looking
What do
for
you think about-
oppositions to argue with us.
Not many around. Has anybody been keeping track of Doge lately? Is that just like a lost talking point?
Thank you, and I heard that Elon Musk is throwing a fit on Twitter again about Trump's government and administration today, but other than that, and then Big Balls resigned and then came back like 2 days later or something.
Mhm.
But
Okay, good. I see you have a blue Yeti mic. Is that what you have?
I think that blue.
Oh,
It says blue.
That's so basic.
I just bought it for. What did I originally buy it for? Because it wasn't for this. Oh, I originally bought it to make TikToks in my bathroom.
Mm-hmm. But it costs like $90, right?
I think so. I
If
just
I'm correct, yeah.
I know
But
nothing about
this.
microphones.
I got this one. This one, like, if you look up online, this has like the exact same. This is actually even slightly. Some people say it's slightly better than the Blue Yeti, and it's only like $30,
Buddy, I don't even know how to use this
a
thing.
third less.
Yeah. Mercedes is pragmatic and frugal. I don't even know how to fucking use this thing. I don't even know what the hell this is. What there's like these random symbols.
But that's the direction from which it picks up. So right now you have it picking up from mostly in front,
Okay.
and then the other one is the gain, and that's just how much it like boosts or not boosts your mic.
I have no idea what that means, but so what happens?
Gain just means your volume is louder or softer.
Okay, then what is the volume button?
Huh? On the
There's-
back.
But no, there's volume. If the volume is the volume, and then the
That's
gain
for your
is the
that's for a
volume.
mic. So on the bottom, there's a headphone jack, and you can plug headphones in. That's for your mic. That's for your headphones.
This whole entire time, I thought I'd been turning up the volume and not. Oh my god. I've been.
No, you need to on the back. You need to turn up the
Yeah,
gain.
so like, well, yeah, I've been like in the bathroom being like, why isn't this button working? This whole fucking time. Oh yeah, I can hear myself. Wow, that is you. It's making you louder. Say something.
Hello?
Oh shit, fuck. Okay, say something again.
Yeah, turn way down. You want it like gain is really sensitive, so if you go too high, it sounds really bad.
Well, it was you that I blasted
It's making
in my
me
ear.
sound.
Well, no, when I clicked my volume.
Uh,
Is my gain all the way low? I think. Oh, okay. And this sounds fine. Do I sound all right?
yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Scratch your my hair. Oh, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone who wants to argue with us about anything?
No. So, recently there was actually a report that came out about how much Doge has actually spent in money.
How much
How
would
much
that
spent,
be?
and they're predicting Doge has spent $136 billion so far into Trump administration cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. Right on their website, they claim that they saved 170 billion from the government. Only problem is right, so that would be what 40 billion in savings.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is that they're lying. So they've actually if you actually look through their contracts, what they've actually canceled, it adds up to about 80 billion. So realistically, we've actually lost 60 billion from Doge so far.
Sounds about Republican.
Yeah. More spending.
Yeah, for sure. Are you guys? I assume you guys are not for Trump.
Yeah.
Well, I am for Trump. I think when it comes to the deficit stuff and the Doge stuff, unless you're going to go after entitlements, there's really no meaningful way to go for the deficit to go down. So neither Republican or Democrat are going to go after entitlements. So the deficit will always stay high with both parties.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out the failure of Doge.
It's fair. I think that Doge did do some good cuts. I think USAID was not beneficial and other programs were not run the right way. But I feel like Doge didn't.
I think they did some good cuts, right? You know, I'm not saying there wasn't some benefit to Doge. I'm just saying overall it was a negative. We ended up losing money, and we ended up having to actually canceling numerous important contracts, which you later had to claw back.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think the deficit's going to be going down either Democrat or Republican. Because when Doge started trying to get cuts for Social Security and Medicare, it's not politically feasible for that. But I don't really support Trump for Doge cuts. I support him for the tariffs and immigration policy.
Tariffs and immigration policy. Okay.
Yeah, those are the two main.
Interesting. So on immigration, like, what do you like about his immigration policy specifically?
Border closure and deportations, and then
What do you mean by border closure?
border encounters have gone down. His executive orders to close the border.
Do border encounters necessarily imply that the border is closed or not?
I mean, not necessarily, but if encounters are at a super low rate, you can kind of
Good
infer.
increased encounters could mean you're catching more people. You're encountering more people. Higher encounters could indicate actually stronger border policy.
But you can infer that lower encounters probably mean less people are willing to come to the country because immigration policy.
It could also mean more people are coming in.
I think
You
that
you don't know. You're just encounters don't really say anything. They're not a good they're not a good indicator of how secure a border is.
Well, I have a quick question. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure, for sure.
So you care about the border, and this is coming from a place of good faith. I pretty much ask anyone who's MAGA this question. If in 4 years, I mean, I'd say in the next year and a half, because midterms are coming and Democrats, if they have control, we normally sweep the floor with midterms. If Trump cares about the border, do you expect him to pass border legislation in the next year or so, like substantial border legislation?
I think he's gonna pass funding in this bill, but I don't know about legislation. But I think in the bill, the big beautiful bill, it gives like It gives the Department of Homeland Security and other departments when it comes to
but
immigration the highest funding.
I'd argue, but that doesn't fix the problem. So the problem we're having is a border that doesn't have substantial policy. Nothing has been passed on it, since the 90s. And my only question is, if he cares about the border and he's got the majority that he has, why aren't we seeing border legislation being brought to the table for a long-term solution instead of band-aided executive orders?
Well, what would be a long-term solution? It would be infrastructure. That's the long-term.
Yeah, legislation is a long-term solution over executive orders.
Yeah, but that has to go through Congress, right?
Yes, and they have the majority.
They do. And what's in the big? Doesn't the big beautiful bill give major funding the Department
That's
of
not, but that's not legislation. So that's not passing anything to close down the border. That's not passing anything to change the processes or fix the broken immigration system. It's not
Well-
necessarily doing anything except giving ICE more money that they'll eventually run out of anyways.
Well, it's part of it is going to infrastructure, which is long-term. And
When you say infrastructure, you mean like the wall?
yeah, border wall or other infrastructure too. I don't
Do you,
know.
do you think the wall is going to genuinely be built?
I mean, we'll see after the bill gets passed, but I think I'm very impressed with this bill about how much funding it goes to immigration reform. I'm actually quite.
It's just you say you voted for Donald Trump for
Wait, but
strong
he said
border
immigration
policy.
reform.
He said immigration reform, and he said
But
Donald
there's
Trump.
there's no immigration reform.
Not
Like-
immigration. I misspoke. Just like laws enforcing.
There's no laws. That's what I'm saying. Like Donald Trump does this thing. Republicans do this thing, and I mean, if you want to talk about Democrats doing this thing, we could too, because I have an issue with both parties doing this shit. But he's doing this thing where he passes executive orders to make it look like he's doing something substantial at the border. Then the minute he's out of office, those executive orders aren't going to carry through, meaning the border crisis happens once more, and then he runs on, or the next Republican runs on border again. So if we actually care about something, we should fix it. We should provide the solution, which I would argue we had a solution. It was the Langford bill, but Donald Trump called and said, hey, kill this. So like at the end of the day, I guess my thing is I don't like when people pretend they care about something. Not necessarily saying you, but like politicians, when Republicans pretend to care about the border and then they never offer solution, like long-term legislation for the border. Part of the issue we have right now is the fact that immigration, like for someone to legally migrate into this country, it can take like 20 years. There's a undocumented migrant that I met. She's a creator on this app, actually. She's an undocumented migrant for Donald Trump, and her whole entire story is the fact that she's been fighting for becoming a legal citizen for 20 years now. And every post she tags Donald Trump asking for him to grant her citizenship. And it's funny because I'm just like, even she, someone who's a Trump supporter, talks about how shitty the immigration system is. And that's part of the reason we're experiencing the issues that we are today, because there's no legislation being brought to the table by the people who pretend they care about the border.
All right, can I address some of those points?
Yeah.
When it comes to the bill, the Lanford bill, I think it only stopped crossings after it got to an 8,000 threshold. And
5,000.
Oh, it was 5,000, not 8,000. Okay, it only allowed from a 5,000 threshold, and I think that border crossings were like at 3,000. So we had to wait for 2,000 more people per day to cross the border before you can actually enforce anything. And then when it comes to legislation, I would say, does the Lincoln Act, the Riley Lincoln Act, does that count as legislation?
That's, I mean,
Yeah.
that's not, but it's not like substantial, it's not fixing the problem.
No,
that
it
we
isn't.
have.
It's literally just reiterating like IRA that was passed under Clinton.
And then,
But like,
when
you're talking.
Well, and he's misrepresenting the Langford bill because he's saying
Well,
that
yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like the question is, what limit was there on encounters before?
0, but
0. Okay, so is some limit better than none?
okay, but the bill didn't really.
Okay, so we'd agree that's a good thing.
yeah. So
like,
I mean,
so
like
basic.
the thing is like when we have a big problem in this country, I hate the idea of this all or nothing mentality. An incremental policy that helps get us to where we want to be is better than no policy. So a lot of Republicans love to use the terms, oh, the border's wide open, and then we cap it at 5,000 crossing or encounters. It's not even just crossing, but 5,000 encounters before we have that shut down. That is wildly better than what we have right now. Why would we not? No, nothing says that just because we pass that, we can't pass something further down the road. It doesn't mean that that can't be bolstered down the road. If we cared about crossings, why would we not? This is like you have a hole in your boat that's this big, and instead of plugging the hole down to here, you're like, well, it's not going to be plugged all the way, so I'm just going to, never mind, don't patch it, or don't even attempt to.
Look, and we can argue if the Republicans didn't pass it for political reasons, but why didn't the Democrats or Biden administration address it until 2024? That's probably for political reasons too. And then address your other
Yes, they did.
no, to address your other point when it came to there isn't substantial rules or legislation the Republicans are making, I would say read the big beautiful bill. I have it up right now. They're calling for hiring 10,000 more deportation officers, 5,000 more border agencies, and about $50 billion for physical border construction.
Yeah,
I don't. It's so tiring to me, like to hear the same things over and over again, the same policies that we've been like trying to do for the past 6 years, right? Like what do we have under Clinton? Oh, we need to expand border patrol funding and more border patrol agents. What do we have under Bush? More border patrol funding, more border patrol agents. Under those two respective administrations, we saw the highest amounts of illegal immigrants come in. I don't know why people keep advocating for policies that have clearly not worked in the past. But you know what we haven't done? Advocate for making it easier to legally immigrate here. We have plenty of border agents. We have plenty of border security. We need to make it easier for the average person to legally immigrate here. One, it helps our economy, and two, it doesn't incentivize them to cross illegally.
I completely disagree with that.
So if we had better legislation in place, border crossings, these illegal border crossings that everyone's so worried about, would shoot down. So, for example, like if someone was seeking asylum here today, if they wanted to come here and seek asylum, right, before Donald Trump's executive order that he passed in January that will be bonked by the next president. But if they were to come over here and seek asylum, they can literally come to this country and for almost 7 years do what they want, be here and not ever see a court or not have to address the fact that they're seeking asylum. So like a lot of the issues that a lot of Republicans have is the fact that they're coming over here and there's so many over here and then nothing's being done about it. If, for example, if I were to immigrate to another country, I would be more incentivized to go over there if I knew that I could cross over into that country and then stay there for 7 years and nothing happened to me. Now, if that country had quick, fast immigration systems and I knew that if I were to go to that country and seek asylum on baseless claims, and I probably could only last there for 6 months before they kick me out, I'm less incentivized to go to that country.
And look, I think that there should be more immigration judges if that's what you're in favor of. But your idea is just, make it easier for people to immigrate here and just get mass.
No, that is not my position at all.
Not your position, but the other guy's position just said make it easier for immigrants to immigrate here.
He means easier in like take it down from 20 years to like 5 years. When we say easier, we're talking about like right now it is so ridiculous that people are like 20 plus years is a problem.
Yeah, when I say easier, do you think I mean like less vetting?
Not less vetting, but just more immigrants itself.
What's wrong with more immigrants?
The majority of Americans want less immigration. I
don't care what the majority. I don't know. The majority of Americans at one point didn't like Jewish people very much until like World War II happened. I don't really care.
So if the majority of the population is screaming for less immigration, you're just going to shove immigration continuously down their throat?
Well, no, I'm not going to say, look, we exist in a democratic system, so I'm going to accept the reality that that's not going to happen. But I'm asking, what argument are you bringing to the table to say that more immigrants is a bad thing?
A lot of immigrants, 54% of immigrants are using governmental services. While
using governmental services, but according to the Cato and according to Harvard study by the Keir couple, immigrants on average are actually slight fiscal benefit to the government.
You think they pay like $93 billion in taxes a year?
Yep.
I can give you multiple sources that shows the Center of Immigration Studies shows that they're a tax burden. I can give you multiple.
And the Center of Immigration Studies, the problem with that is they count immigrants' children who are born here, who are American citizens, as a burden, right? Even though they're citizens, but they don't. On the opposite hand, when they're counting for the actual tax, for the actual tax of the citizens, they don't count those children as a burden, right? Remember, if you count a child for the first 18 years of their life, they're not doing anything, right? They're explicitly and completely a tax burden, right? So that's the wrong with the CIS study. If you go look at that, I recommend Cato wrote an entire dissertation of both FAIR and the CIS study, which they submitted to the Republican House Budget Committee. I recommend you go read them. I've actually written dissertations myself on these two studies. They're completely dishonest, and they're trying to paint immigrants in a negative light. When we look at reputable sources like Harvard, when we look at reputable sources like Yale, when we look at reputable sources like Cato, we absolutely know for a fact that immigrants, both legal and illegal, are a slight fiscal benefit to our government.
No, they're not.
They make up 13% of the population, yet own 21% of American businesses. Like immigrants, 13% of the population make up 21% of American businesses. I would say that's a pretty good net positive.
When it comes to illegal immigrants, if you give them mass amnesty, they're just going to be more eligible for those governmental services, which will they're already a tax burden, but that'd probably exemplify and cause a greater problem when it comes to.
But then they also have to pay income tax too.
They would.
Okay, so they would be paying more taxes, yeah, but they'd also be using more welfare services, but they'd also be paying more taxes. So
If someone
I don't really see the problem.
doesn't mean that they're still not a tax burden. They'd be completely eligible for these
So
programs.
if we look at the average, if Cato also looks at legal immigrants on average over their lifetimes are also a fiscal benefit. So legal or illegal, doesn't matter. They're both efficient to our government. So I don't really know what your talking point here is.
And do they not lower wages too? Can create a more competitive.
No, they don't lower wages.
They don't.
Yes.
Again, I don't trust the Cato Institute. I
No,
don't.
if you don't trust the Cato Institute, you can go look at the National Bureau of Economics Research, which again there's a Harvard meta-analysis that you can go look at if you don't trust that. Once Cato did do a study, I recommend it. They always do good studies. University of Penn State also did a study, and they all came to the same conclusions that immigrants don't lower wages. And the reason why is, and here's what people forget, right? And this is this is basic econ, right? Econ 101. Yes, when you increase the supply of labor and the demand for goods and services doesn't go up, right? That means wages will go down. That is correct, right? Only problem is immigrants also demand more goods and services. So you're increasing the supply of labor, but you're also increasing the demand for goods and services. So there's actually no effect on wages.
I understand that, but a lot of the sectors these illegal immigrants are, those are not high demand. The demand's not going to increase at such crazy rate.
Well, I'm sorry, but Harvard,
larger
Penn
rate.
State, and National Bureau of Economic Research both disagree with you. So I don't know if I am going to trust some random internet dude or actual trusted academic
You should trust
institutions.
me, because a lot of those institutions are paid by
Really?
corporations who actually think about it.
Can you tell me the name? Can you tell me? Wait, can you tell me the names of the people who wrote the Harvard meta-analysis I'm referring to right now?
I don't know the names of the people.
It's
Oh,
the
you don't
deep
know the
state,
names,
obviously.
but yet you're declaring who funded them.
Yeah,
Gross.
corporate.
It's the deep state.
Do you know the methodology? Do you know like the matrix of anything of how they did the study?
They probably looked at census.
No, you don't.
I
So
don't.
Why are you claiming a source is biased when you literally know nothing about
You're
it?
claiming my source, Center of Immigration, is not correct, and you're just
Yeah,
saying-
I gave a specific example.
Can
They
you
count
explain-
they count the children of legal immigrants who are U.S. citizens as a burden, but they don't
not
count the
the
children
kind
of
of
U.S. Yes, but they don't count the children of U.S. citizens. I gave a specific example. Do you want to read through it? Because I can go down like my own dissertation. Of it.
Okay, even if they don't count U.S. citizens' children, are they still not? That doesn't defeat the point that they're still a tax burden. That illegal immigrants are still a tax burden.
Yeah. Okay. When you're trying to figure out if they're a tax burden or not, right? What you're doing is, when you're trying to figure out if they're tax burden, you're saying, okay, how much are they spending in taxes versus how much aren't they spending in taxes? And then you're trying to figure like the difference out between that. So that's why you need to figure out both of those statistics.
So
Here,
I have
I'll
a
read
question.
here.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for you. Do you believe that illegal immigrants give more to the tax system or less from the tax system?
They give more to the tax system.
No. They don't. They clearly take more. They take housing. They take
Was that it?
Medicare. They take public education. They take multiple other things. and a lot of their pay is under the table. It's not even,
I mean, but they do. So there's ITIN numbers, and like they do pay. I mean, they pay $93 billion in taxes and into Social Security, and which we'll never see back. Like it's
they,
pretty.
they take 130 million though. There's they take over 100 million in benefits though.
But I think you tried clearing that up with you earlier.
Yeah. The worst part is like institutions and Fair and CAS are institutions like Fair and CAS are so dishonest. You can like read. I'm familiar. So like Fair will when they're doing reports to the House Budget Committee and the CIS, one thing they'll do is they'll just change the number of illegal immigrants based on like if it's good to their point, right? Someone's saying, "Oh my gosh, under the Biden administration, 200 million illegal immigrants came into the United States," or when they're talking about like how the fiscal burden of illegal immigrants will be like, oh, they 2 trillion illegal immigrants came into the United States, and then when they're talking about how much crime did these illegal immigrants commit, they try and shrink the population. They'll use lower numbers than they're using in their other studies because the lower amount to the relative amount of crime means you have a higher per capita rate.
I never
Like
argued
these
that.
are not these are not trustworthy surface. They're actively trying to skew the data to fool Americans into thinking immigrants are much worse than they actually are. In fact, they're positive.
I never claimed crime was a problem. That was never one of my reasons. But
No, I'm pointing out a reality where the CIS is dishonestly changing the like the amount it's considers of illegal immigrants it considers to be in the country based on what it's convenient to whatever point they're trying to prove.
and you could say the numbers are maybe partly skewed or whatever, but it's no doubt that there's still a tax burden. I mean, maybe I think fair's
Okay, but if the problem is
50 million
No,
tax burden. I don't think it's 150
Like
billion.
here's a problem. Fair assumes in the and I'm just reading through my own notes. Fair in the study and the CIS assume that the illegal immigrant population consumes just as much healthcare as the average citizen. That is not. We literally have studies from the National Health Institute that say illegal immigrants and immigrants in general consume vastly less amounts of healthcare.
well, and
There's these basic assumptions. It's full of problems, and you're acting like this is like the end all be all when trusted, reputable academic sources who don't dishonestly skew their numbers based on what point they're trying to prove actually agree with me.
well,
You're
and
cherry picking individual studies.
Also,
I'd also agree. Can I say something? You said
Yeah.
something earlier that was just false as well, because this study here is talking about how immigrants are generally less likely to utilize welfare programs compared to native born Americans, which I mean, like, no shit. These people are willing to work for like $8 an hour in the hot sun for 14-hour days. These people are some of the most hardworking people around. They are less likely to be on welfare. So if you want them to be a net in your world a net positive, if they're paying 93 billion in taxes, imagine what would happen if we did grant them citizenship, or if we did make the process
more
faster.
eligible for the program. They would just
Wait,
But-
can you let
they're
John?
less-
Can you let John Gold up?
Yeah, but they're less likely to be on welfare than you are. Immigrants are less.
I don't know if I would say that.
I mean, this is so. Did you pull up a Cato study earlier that you were
And
referencing?
also,
Me?
Scratch,
Yeah.
the
This-
Cato the Cato research that you're looking that discredited the fair argument, that was in 2017. They haven't actually debunked the 2023.
No, I did my own dissertation on the CIS.
Well, this is from the Cato Institute in 2020, and this is talking about immigrants consume 21% less welfare than native-born citizens. Native-born Americans, 21% less welfare. So if your big scare is that they're going to use welfare, if you have a problem with welfare, talk to
Because they're
native-born
they're not as
Americans.
eligible. They're not as
These
eligible.
are immigrants. These are people who have their citizenship. You said that your problem was if they got citizenship, they would automatically go and just use up all the welfare. This is saying immigrants who get citizenship are less likely to use welfare or utilize welfare programs than native-born Americans.
Are those H-1B?
And for y'all saying, "Oh, it's his own
Those-
dissertation," dissertation in the comments, the specific thing I was citing is on page 11 and page 15. If anyone will look through it.
What were you saying, Berger?
Again, are those H-1B visa immigrants, or there's low-skill immigrants? What type of immigration is that from? Or is that the lottery system? I mean,
Let's
what
look
type
it up.
of immigrants are there? There's multiple types of immigrants. And when it comes to
I mean, immigrants as a whole, regardless of what they're on, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the system that it doesn't matter. Like I'd say the majority of immigrants are people who overstayed their visas in the first place. You know what I mean? Like these are people who are coming over here most often to work and not use welfare. They get citizenship, and they're 21% likely to be on welfare than the average American is. So like, I mean, that's just, if your argument is you don't want to give them citizenship en masse because you're worried about them getting on welfare, I think you should take that argument up with Americans first.
Yeah, I feel like, well, most Americans believe they're a tax burden, and here's the thing.
Well, believing in facts is two different things.
Well, I think that they are a tax burden, but look at this. Let me just put it in this point of view. How many illegal immigrants are there? Probably somewhere between 10 to 20 million in the country right now.
Yep.
Is that a fair number? Okay.
Yeah,
Somewhere
yeah, that's a fair number.
Look, and I don't mean to be rude or anything, but a lot of them don't have a high school education. They didn't get one, and they are very low skill work. And especially as these industries become more automated, they are not going to be able to compete in these higher retail and service-based industries because they don't have the education to. And it's too late to give them the education because they're already past 20 years old. You know, it's harder to learn things the older you get compared to younger students. So they're going to be, a lot of these jobs are going to be gone in 5 to 10 years. They're going to be completely reliant on the government, because especially.
Do you think construction jobs are going to be gone in 5 to 10 years? Do you think food industries, when it comes to field industries, when it comes to farm labor, do you think that's just going to be gone in 10 years?
I think that delivery services like Uber Eats, DoorDash will be automated in 10 years.
Okay, well, I'm not talking about that because the majority of them make up like dishwashers and things like farm workers and construction workers.
I think
jobs
agriculture will be gone in 10 years too.
Do you think so? You think these restaurants are going to have robots in the kitchen washing dishes in 10 years?
Oh, I mean, this is we need illegal immigrants because who's gonna clean?
I mean,
I want to ask. So how would a business obtain the capital to be able to invest in automation?
How would a business? Wait, can you repeat your question?
Like, let's pretend like a
Robots are
construction
taking over.
business. How would a construction business obtain the capital to invest in automation?
It'd probably partnership with Microsoft or Chat, and the idea that automation is so far away, I would argue. Look at 2022 when ChatGPT was launched in 2022. It has made, huge steps, bro. Like for the past 3 years, ChatGPT's generative capabilities have completely.
Maybe.
This
Hold
guy's
on,
argument. This guy's argument
hold-
is he doesn't want immigrants over here because he believes the robots are going to take their jobs and then they'll be obsolete.
Wait,
We're
hold
going to have to
on.
send them back after the robots.
I heard the same argument back in the 90s when the internet was being born, right? Like when Clinton was in office and the internet was going to kill retail. We're not going to have any more retail anymore. Like, this is the same argument I heard 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a really invalid argument to be like, I don't want immigrants over here because they won't be able to go to college because they're too old, is what you said, or and then you followed it up with, well, they can't do retail because robots are taking over dishwasher positions, and I think that's a little bit.
You just see these people as a low class, like your whole.
No, I don't. But I think like we have to be real with a lot of the positions that they're willing to take. The thing is, like, I hate when people make that argument. I think it's so dishonest because they are running from a country that they experience a lot of violence, and it's like they're doing those same jobs over there for way less, and they can't support their families. If they come over here, they can do these jobs while supporting these families without having to worry about getting a knock on the door from the cartel. You know what I mean? So like, we are giving them a substantially better place. Now, I agree with raising the wages. I agree with giving them better working conditions. I agree with that, but it's something Republicans continuously vote against. So it's so weird when Republicans come up here and they make the argument that, oh my God, you want them to work on low wages, but then you guys scream when you hear the word $15 minimum an hour wages. So I don't.
No, I never said that.
Hold on, Mercedes. That's a bad argument because 30 different states now have their own state minimum wage, and in reality, majority of states don't pay minimum wage. They have their own.
Well, no, I get what you're saying, but it's dishonest for Republicans to say that they're worried about the wages of immigrants when historically Republicans are against raising wages.
I wouldn't be against. I'm not worried about wages for immigrants. What I'm more worried about.
Yeah, not you, him. I'm not arguing with you. I'm arguing with him. You and I probably agree on a lot.
Maybe.
I think
Maybe.
I think I'm not necessarily worried about. I'm worried about immigrant wages because if you have these corporations who can just undercut paying Americans these jobs, and they're just going to pay cheaper illegal immigrants. At the
You
end of
don't
the day,
care about.
who does illegal immigrants benefit? Does it benefit the middle class or does it benefit these corporations?
Okay, but you don't
Benefits
care about
everybody.
that. So this is, but no, this is so weird when Republicans take this stance to almost where it's like they're putting on the liberal cloak for a second to try to make a dishonest argument in something that they don't even believe. Like when they talk about benefiting corporations, yeah, Donald Trump, the person you voted for, is the epitome of benefiting corporations. Like I get so confused when they do this
Hey, wasn't
because
that like that's why neocons are so pro-immigrant? I remember that for like that's like I don't know what like MAGA made everybody like hate them, but like neocons used to be super
this is a
pro-immigrant.
guy who like overturns water EPA protections, and like this is the guy that wants to sell off public lands for corporations to build little mini mansions in the most beautiful parts of America. Like
Yeah.
you cannot pull the or the oh no, the corporations card on us because you'd have to join
I
us.
actually think deregulation of federal lands, especially I think that new updated plan was only BLM lands, which I know it's not like the Black Lives Matter thing. It's the forgot
Bureau
what
of Land Management, I know what it is.
management. Yeah. And he's no longer doing U.S. forests. He's actually only doing those type of lands, which is about 1.2 million acres for housing, which I would say is actually pretty
Yeah,
beneficial.
but there's nothing in the legislation that says that what type of like there's no protections on what kind of housing that'll be. So where you think, for example, a lot of the location of these lands are in the middle of nowhere. Like these aren't just neighborhood track homes that are going to be built. Most of these will end up when we look at places in Colorado near like Vail or 11 Mile Reservoir, we're looking at places where they actually plan on building like these mini mansions for rich people to just go buy out. Like these are going to be sectioned off pieces of land in order to build like 8 bedroom houses. This is not thinking track home for middle class.
Okay,
Mer-
besides subsidies, how would you solve the housing crisis? Besides opening up federal land?
I mean, I'd solve the housing crisis by this is going to be a little bit of a Texas approach here, but I think the regulations, like for example, like I think California's housing crisis, a lot is caused by how many hoops that they have to jump through in order to build a house in the first place.
And is Trump not doing deregulation right now?
Well, no, I get what you're saying. It's just your argument against immigrants working in the fields was that it's pro corporation, and I'm just saying that you can't say that you're not pro corporation for
I'm not
when
against.
making an argument.
But Mercedes, that's a bad faith debate tactic that you just used because the government in a free market, if the government is creating policies that's creating disadvantages for other businesses by allowing illegal immigrants in the country, as a free market capitalist, I could be against that because theoretically, the government's creating advantages for certain corporations by allowing laws to be broken for certain citizens and not others.
In a free market, borders wouldn't exist, and we wouldn't have to worry about the restriction of labor to businesses.
Wait, Scratch, show me where free market capitalism talks about borders. You're conflating.
Now,
You're
show me where
conflating
free market capitalism talks about restricting businesses from being able to tame labor by government action.
using illegal immigrants as labor. Yeah, sure. So under an anarcho-capitalist society, the laws still exist, right? We're not anarchy. So if there are laws on the books that say, "Hey, illegal immigrants can't enter the borders," and a company down the street has a competitive advantage against me because they're using illegal immigration to have a competitive advantage over me, I could dispute that with the government and say, "Hey, company A is using illegal immigration to have a competitive advantage and beat me. That's my issue," and then the government would resolve that. So
I'm
that's
just not like when people say free, like when you say free market, that generally to me means like unrestricted labor, and so it's kind of ironic to be at one point saying like, oh, the free market, and then two being okay with the government like arbitrarily restricting who can't come into who can't come into the country, right? It's like the whole visa program itself is literally the government deciding who gets something and who doesn't.
But you're
Is it
you're
not?
conflating anarchy with a free market. So if you are a liberal and Mercedes is a liberal, I believe a fundamental principle of being a liberal is believing in free market capitalism. No?
Well, I mean, I'm pro capitalism, so I'm capitalism with social safety nets.
Yeah, I'm actually that too. I think that there's obviously has to be social programs
So I have a question then, Mercedes. I see a lot of people on the left right now celebrating Mondani, who is openly a democratic socialist. I see creators on your lives celebrating it. So do you reject them? Like, do you denounce socialism?
Oh my god.
Oh.
Do you denounce socialism, Mercedes? That's the question.
Socialism.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest here. I do not think that this is going to be a long answer. Okay, we're going to do some goose stepping over here. Let's start off with this. I think him winning in New York, I don't think it's a good national strategy, because I think like New York there's a specific type of people who live in New York that, of course, they have a higher chance of electing someone like that. But I don't think, bring that down to Texas, it's not happening. Right. So I don't think it's a national strategy in order to win. I'm going to start there. Number two, I'm just going to say that I'm capitalism with social safety nets, and not social safety nets to the extremes that he's proposing.
Okay, do you believe in freezing the rent?
No, I believe in solving the housing crisis by
deregulation. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So I feel like
Wait, hold on. I don't want to get off this. So Mercedes, will you
Oh,
say
Lord.
that will you say you reject socialism then?
Yeah.
All right. I'm happy to hear that. So if your party is now wanting to push towards, so you have creators on your side that are really pro-socialism, and they think that that's equaling equality, and getting rid of capitalism would be equality. Would you then reject the left?
Do I reject the left? No, because I think there's so many factions on the left. So, like, when you say to reject the left, I mean, like, I already reject a pretty big subset of the left when they go off and do crazy stuff, and I think that's been flayed out on the internet for the past couple months. But yeah, I mean, I don't get along with certain people on the left, and I think some of the policy proposals on the left are a little bit. But I guess this is where, like, my take as to why I'm over here and not over on the MAGA side would be, like, our crazy people on the left are like, yeah, freeze the rent, where the crazy people on the right are like, yeah, bring back segregation. You know what I mean? So, like, there's a difference as to why I would rather be on the side with our crazy extremist over their crazy extremists.
So you would call a socialist a crazy extremist, right?
I mean,
they literally want to change
No,
our.
Marcy,
Yeah,
the valid thing to say in today's is that what crazy and extremists are relative to the societal perception of politics, and right now the in window is shifting towards the left. So you wouldn't call a socialist crazy within like how people perceive politics these days.
But Scratch, wouldn't you admit though that socialism requires, and especially specifically what Mondani's doing, is the actual government managing resources, which is the definition of state socialism, and people on the left, which is authoritarian, by the way, which people on the left are currently celebrating. They want the state to control resources.
I'm not down for government grocery stores.
Depends on what kind of socialist you are. Some people are. I'm a market socialist, so I don't know how. Like it depends. If I was to get, I'm not going to specific policies, but there's like variable rent control, which has been like very promising depending where you are. I'm okay. Like I think like just plain rent control isn't like a very good thing. I do think that's kind of a bad policy. I think some social safety nets are good. I don't think it's necessarily like it's not an integral part of a socialist ideology. There are,
but rent control.
There are met libertarian market socialists.
Scratch, you're smarter than this. Rent control is not even. That's not even socialism. To me, socialism is the means of production and resources are managed by the government.
Fuck
right?
no.
Which is what Mondani wants.
Yeah,
and I would your side wants.
And I'm going to be honest.
Socialism. Can a socialist explain what socialism is real quick?
Oh no.
Socialism is the collective ownership of the means of production and the decommodification of goods and services. So that could mean two things. One, as a market socialist, I believe that to get the collective ownership, we should have worker co-ops. Workers within their own businesses own their businesses, and those businesses should compete competitively on a market, right? That doesn't necessarily entail that. So like an S, it could be like an S corporation, but a worker cooperative is technically something different.
Okay,
that's not capitalism, though. That's the worker ownership of the means of production.
An S corp is capitalism. Yes, thank you.
What you're doing is worker co-ops and S corps are different. I hope you understand.
No, they're not. I can open one with you tomorrow if you'd like. I can show you.
Yeah, but do all the workers there have to become? If
Most
does every
S
worker
corps
at
are
that
not.
S corp?
Yeah, S corps are not
Yes.
generally owned by every single employee who works at the S corp.
Exactly. Worker co-ops and S corporations are different, but yes, you could technically have an S corporation that could be considered like a worker co-op.
Ah,
I
so
mean,
you don't need socialism.
But like markets aren't like something, or even like having free markets technically isn't something that can't exist under socialism.
Scratch. I have a
Right.
question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it with this idea that like the would that be like for everyone? So in your worldview, would there be a business owner of any business, or would they all
Yeah.
be co-ops?
So, in my view, the majority of businesses would be co-ops. I don't think it's realistic to say every single person has to work or every single business has to be a worker co-op. I think that could really disincentivize like innovation within the society. If there could be some like super smart entrepreneur who wants to just do his idea on his own, and being restricted in a market and a worker cooperative is like, oh, if I do a worker cooperative, then I have to share my profits with everybody. But my goal is to have a society where the majority of businesses are worker co-ops, and I think I would consider at that point a social society.
Okay, I mean,
I disagree.
I love you regardless.
But that's not what your party wants. Your party wants the government to
Well,
control.
I don't
know
want
what
that.
my party like the amount of like
The
John,
party is
the
all
amount of
over.
leftist infighting is actually insane. I
How-
don't know, like there's no consistent leftist narrative about what anybody wants. You
Yeah,
have
Joe-
like the tankies, you have the tankies doing whatever they want. You have like the democratic socialists, you have like the market you have the market socialists, you have like 10 different factions of socialism and communism and anarchists all warring it out about what they actually want. There isn't like a consistent socialist line.
I could be in a room full of Democrats and say, I love pew-pews, and some of them are like, what kind? The other half are like, yeah, we love pew-pews. The other half are like, you horrible, evil woman. You know what I mean? Like, it's... Who knows? You don't know what you're getting when you hang out with someone who says they're on the left. It's...
And democratic socialism is definitely like I
State
guess it's
socialism.
more. It's not state socialism. It's not. It incorporates some elements from market social. It incorporates some elements of market socialism. I'm not. I think it's pretty good. Like comparing it to things like Marxist Leninism or like Trotskyism or Maoism, though, like absolutely not. They're
I
not
have a
advocating
question
for
for
a vanguard state. They're not advocating for Soviets to control all of like certain commodities or resources.
In 2028, do you guys think you're gonna have like a Greg Newsom or someone like Zohar?
A Gavin Newsom?
Yeah, Gavin Newsom. Sorry,
I mean,
someone like Zohar running.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I am a Gavin stan.
Oh boy. All right. On that note, I got to run.
Wait,
Scratch, thanks
John, you are not going to come up here and be like, screw Mom Donnie, and then be like, no, Gavin, because the only thing about Gavin is I think he's going to be playing I'm thinking about like electorally. I just feel I feel like he's going to play kind of like a moderate card here that could get those MAGAs who've just left their cult and they're like licking their wounds and they're like, I know, they're like, you know.
No, okay, I don't like.
Well, Scratch,
new
you know my rule.
new
I usually
scum,
don't go live
really.
After 5,
New
so
scum?
I came here for Scratch to support him.
Thank you.
Scratch, I've been in your
I
lives
love you, and
since
I
you had
agree
one
with, and I agree with all of your opinions, John. Okay.
viewer. Scratch, I've been supporting you even when you had one viewer. So when you're a celebrity, okay, and
What
you're
do
a
you call- I
famous
never had one
influencer,
viewer.
It's
don't
John
forget
Goat.
about me. All right, Scratch.
Everybody, no. Before you leave, everybody follow John. Super good content creator. If you're interested in monetary policy, which none of you are, because you're all lazy 2 IQ fucks who don't actually care about how our country works, please follow him.
Thanks,
Okay.
Scratch. I appreciate that. All right. Hey, if you guys are ever on before 5 o'clock, I'd love to come up and debate more. So
Perfect,
But-
perfect.
I only come up for Scratch after 5 because you are my favorite, Scratch. All right. Adios.
W's for Scratch in the chat and W's for John.
Okay, that guy kind of actually helped me with my point when it came to corporations.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I don't think you can argue like for me, it's my argument with that is when it comes to when Republicans try to say, "Oh, how dare the immigrants be," help
I gotta
out the
leave for like
corporations.
15 minutes. I'll be back.
You're
I'm just
fine.
gonna turn off my camera.
Okay, when they say, I just think it's a switch. Like, you got to pick a stance. We cannot we can't like switch our beliefs depending on what we're arguing. So to me, it's just interesting when Republicans will be like, "Oh, how dare you give the immigrants low wages," and then simultaneously they'll vote against like upping wages. That was my point on that. Not necessarily that you can't be pro or anti corporation, but you just it's a tactic that I see used a lot with like TikTok influencers. They'll go on here and they'll be like, oh, "How dare you? Oh my gosh, the immigrants aren't making as much money as everyone else." And I'm like, "Bitch, you guys voted multiple times for stagnant wages. Like, what are you talking about?"
No,
Like,
I get your point. I
yeah,
kind of get that.
it's fine. Yeah,
I do think that. Oh, well, that's why I think that Trump's not necessarily. I think when it comes to corporate tax rates, that's a different discussion. But when it comes to tariffs and strict immigration policy, I would say that hurts the corporations the most rather than the consumers and the middle class.
yeah. Oh, sorry, I was typing to my Discord channel. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. Well, I mean, this is the cool thing. Do you debate liberals a lot, or I guess left? I'm not a
I
leftist, but
debated Parker today.
how'd that go?
I think I did actually pretty well against him. I think a lot of his points are just, I don't know. It's a lot of his points are just feelings rather than just like actual sources. And then when I brought up the sources to him, when I brought up like FAIR, and which you guys handled a lot better when I brought up the two sources, Center of Immigration Studies and the FAIR source, he didn't really have any, you know, disproving points. He kind of just accepted it and he said, "Oh well, that doesn't matter. We should still have immigrants because blah blah blah." He just kind of pivoted they just pivot their whole points. You move on immigration and the next thing you know you're talking about J6. Like,
Yeah, I think the difference is like for us over here, we try to have like conversations, like genuine conversations, and we're not trying to force capitulations. Where over there, it's like dunk fest. I'm gonna try to force you to either capitulate or look like an idiot on live so that they can clip it later. So I mean, like, I won't do that to you.
no, Dean's worse than Parker.
Yeah, yes, I'd agree to that. Yeah,
Dean is horrible. Dean just wants that clip, that 30-second clip. You can bring up tariffs, he'll bring up something completely different. But both of them are pretty bad. But yeah, when it came to debating Parker, I actually I don't think he's the best debater, honest to God.
would you debate Destiny?
I would debate Destiny.
We have them up here on like Mondays and Thursdays.
I would come up and debate him because I think I need to do more research. I'm kind of just getting, I did a political speech and my friend said I should get into it, so I'm kind of just putting my toes in the water a bit. This is like my second day debating people on TikTok just to try it out,
Yeah.
and I think it's interesting. I would say that I am pro Trump. There's things I don't like. I don't know, how do you feel about Israel?
I'm very, what's the word? My problem with Israel is the fact that things like sitting there watching on stage, all the mayors ask where would they go first, if they were elected as mayor, and they all in unison said, Israel. I've been to Israel 5 times. I've been to Israel 6 times. And I'm like, I'm not conspiratorial, but that is the one thing that'll throw me down a conspiratorial rabbit hole in 2.5.
No,
That's crazy. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene talking to Tucker Carlson and was like, it literally said that AIPAC comes and they offer you like money and they're like, hey, you need to write us like this essay as to why you support us. And that if you don't or you speak out against them, they'll fund actual candidates running against you to get you primaried. And I'm just like, no, that is the deep state to me.
For me, it's like, because I'm from Manhattan, so and I have a lot of like Jewish friends and stuff. My friend's uncle was Cuomo, and we debate a lot because I think Cuomo is like one of the most corrupt, politicians ever. I think Cuomo's horrible.
Yeah, I think most politicians are fucked
And
on both sides.
it's just so interesting to see. Like, I think AIPAC does have a crazy control on this country, and I think that what the scary part is, I feel like it's the left and the right.
It is.
Under Biden, it was like Biden just let Israel completely do whatever he wants in Gaza. Maybe there'd be a leak like, oh, Biden had a tough phone call with Netanyahu, but then next thing you know, you hear about legislation get like $300 million in aid or like bonds or whatever.
Well, and I think lobbying in general is just psychotic to me, and both sides take it like it's candy, and then And to me, it's wild. The majority of Americans, I guarantee, if you ask them tomorrow, "Are you for insider trading?" Everyone would say no. Well, they still get to participate in insider trading. That's psychotic to me. The fact that the majority of Americans say, "Hey, we don't think you guys should be getting lobbied to actually put policies or vote for things that are anti us as the people and pro the corporation you're being lobbied by." The majority of us feel that way. And I'm like, what is this, a democracy? If the majority of us feel this way and it's not happening, like, this is a democracy, I'm confused. When our representatives are not representing us but representing themselves in their own pockets, bro, that's where I get conspiratorial.
What's interesting to me is you see a lot of these conservative commentators like Charlie Kirk, where they won't address the APEC issue, but instead they'll go hard on other things. You know
Well,
what
and
I mean?
I think Charlie Kirk knows, and I think that what's happening with a lot of these people is like someone who was in the right wing. I was a right wing influencer before I came over here. I was a lifelong conservative, actually. So it was last year, August of last year, that I came to this side. And something that I found out really quickly about that side and a lot of like high level influencers, there are talking points that they know that are absolute crap, that they are taking a paycheck, literally. One of them being the kids taking craps in cat litter boxes in classrooms. Like, that is something that people over there who, right wing influencers who spew that, who I have heard tell me, "Hey, we know that this is not true, but our audience doesn't know this." And then they're like taking paychecks. And then we have like a subset of right wing influencers who take like Russian paychecks. And like, that's crazy to me. When we look at like Tim Pool's situation, that's also crazy to me. It's with Charlie Kirk, I think he's a smart guy because he knows business well. But I think that he knows even. I think there's something happening here where they're putting greed over morals. Does that make sense? So I don't, just because I think he's a smart guy doesn't mean I don't, like, I think he's a bad guy, but I think he's putting greed over his own morals. I think that deep down inside, Charlie Kirk probably thinks that the Israel situation is fucked, but of course he's going to back Trump to the end because that's where his money comes from.
What I find interesting is like I think most Americans realize that our politicians are getting lobbied by foreign governments and by huge corporate interests. And the thing is, people can't address that, I feel like, whilst being moderate at the same time. People are becoming so extreme on both sides because everyone realizes they're a problem, but there's no moderate voice speaking out on it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of third party, but I'm also like idealistic and like pragmatic. So, or not, I'm not idealistic, I'm pragmatic. So I am a proponent of third party because I think that would, in my brain, I guess it would be. I'm simultaneously, idealistically, I want a third party that would come out here and actually be a grassroots movement and not take lobbying and say fuck you to both sides, fuck you to the lobbying, fuck you to the insider trading, screw APAC, all that shit. I would love for that to happen. I just don't think we're gonna get it, so that's why like I vote over on this side for damage control, et cetera, et cetera. My issue with like Trump and a lot of the people is like there's a couple of us influencers who left, and part of it was we're over there and we think that Trump is going to run on this like drain the swamp just to realize no,
He's part of the swamp.
he is the swamp too, you know. So it just sucks as an American that we all feel this way, and in a democracy we're not being represented.
And it's so hard because the only politicians that are like actually bringing this up as an issue, maybe hopefully things will continue to open with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I feel like she's not really an extremist. Same with Tucker. Hopefully there'll be a natural opening, but the only people talking about this is the extremists. I mean, like I don't agree with Zohar in one bit. I think his policies are crazy. I think I live in the city, right? So free buses are $1 billion annually to the MTA, and the MTA is already about $700 million over budget. You're just gonna add about a $1.7 billion $1.7 billion over budget for the MTA, not making profit. The MTA is horribly run, and you're gonna take more annual revenue away from them, and then state-run grocery stores freezing the rent. They tried that in Berlin in 2021. It was atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't pay me enough money to live in Germany, so.
I mean, I just think that these policies are obviously disastrous. I truly believe that. But he still seemed like he had more care for the average
Yes.
American.
That's what we keep seeing, and it's actually kind of wild because, like, there's times that Nick Fuentes will be speaking, and I'm like, why am I agreeing with him? Why are we put in a situation where our politicians are so fucked that you have extreme aisles on both sides who are agreeing together when Nick Fuentes and then Mom Donnie is both saying, "Hey, Israel's literally trying to take over our politicians. They have taken over our politicians." That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that we've gotten to that point where the only rational people are the psychos. Like, what? That's just too much.
it's so the extreme left and the extreme right sound almost so similar. You know, you almost go to a friend where it's like the extreme left very pro gun. You know what I mean? Believes that our politicians are bought and paid fly. Believes that, you know, corporate interest is a huge fault. And it's so interesting that both the left and the right, you know, extreme versions of each other sound so similar. And I've noticed the Fuentes guy, he's been blowing up like crazy. And a lot of leftists listen to him, not even just people on the right.
Because there's a shared enemy, and it's Israel.
And it is interesting. What I am very impressed with Trump that he didn't. I think that he was able to get a ceasefire because I think everyone knows Israel wants this war with Iran. I don't think, you know, Israel's dragging us into this war. You know, they're the one-twos trying to drag us into this war. And the fact that Trump kind of called him out and didn't actually join this war, I'm actually pretty impressed with.
I think my only opinion on that is that it's Israel continues to use America to carry out the things that they refuse to do or are incapable of doing. So, like, I think Israel wanted those locations bombed. And I think that right now, okay, maybe the ceasefire lasts, or maybe, but give it 2, 4, 6 years and they're going to be back doing the same shit. And that's my problem with Israel. It's like, we just need to get to a point in America where, hey, Israel, leave us alone and stop trying to drag us into your shit. Because whenever we give them something or whenever we acquiesce to them, I think it's a loss, regardless of what president it's happening under. And it's happened under both parties. So regardless, I think when we sit there and we cater to Netanyahu.
Oh, I think Israel wants regime change. I think even if you look at the
Yeah, so they should fund it and they should do it. They should handle it themselves instead of
no, I
dragging
don't
us
think the
into
U.S.
it.
should get involved at all. But I don't know if Israel can do it without, you know,
They can call. I don't know. They can get some other allies. Like they just maybe they need to do some international networking or something and just leave America out of it. I think the only reason they call on us so hard is because we've been there. The minute I think that we cut them off, they're gonna, if they want to continue whatever they're doing, they're gonna have to source elsewhere. But I just think, like when if you're going to the hand that's feeding you, you're probably gonna keep going there, and you're not gonna stop going there until the hand decides to stop feeding you. And I think that's the situation we're in right now. Is like, I don't even think they try to really outsource for other people to help them in their wars because we've been such a reliable piggy bank for them.
well, a lot of the whole world hates them. It's really just
I wonder why.
hard to find. Yeah, I think what they did in Gaza is atrocious. I think that's horrible.
Based.
And
We're still talking with this guy.
He's cool. I like Burger.
Okay.
I'm giving Burger a follow. Burger, I followed you.
thank you.
I can't follow you because my follow to following ratio would be off then.
I get that. I gained like 50 followers a day from the Parker stream, which is like crazy. I feel like people. Do you think Parker and Dean is like bought by the DNC, or do you think
Parker and Dean are both cucks. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
or do you think that they're natural, like whatever they say they believe in 100%?
I don't think that Parker or Dean are like bought. I think they might. I don't know. I think they probably got like some kind of funding or money for it to do like the was it dudes who voted for Harris thing or white guys who voted for Harris.
Yeah, but if they keep going down the audience capture train that they're on right now, they're gonna be too on the left to the point where their audience is pushing them to vote for third party or something. That's the thing is like they were in a position during the election where your question I'd be able to engage in with it easier. But now they're at a point where if we have, for example, pretend Gavin Newsom was the candidate, their audience would be like, "How dare you support that MAGA man?" You know what I mean? So, and if the DNC would get the DNC would get behind Gavin. Like if Gavin ended up being the candidate, I think the DNC would fall in line and support him, and then I think their audience would start screaming at the idea of them supporting them. So
Yeah.
I think they kind of pew themselves in the foot with that one.
Sure. Yeah, left-wing creators are just either audience captured or very, very adamant in their beliefs. Unlike right-wing creators like Tim Pool, who get funded by Russia.
That's what I said earlier. Yeah, no.
What?
Yeah, that's what I said
You're
earlier.
taking my talking points from me. Stop
Dude, Tim Pool has bothered me since I was on the right. He's one of the biggest reasons, like, a couple of me and other right-wing creators left is Poolgate. We were like, bro, this is fucked, so...
Cole
fuck?
and Charlie are just they're just
Hey,
so
wasn't it,
obviously bought by someone, by either it's APAC or whoever, but they're their talking points are clearly so scripted.
Like what right-wing creators were getting paid by Russia again? It was like Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, like Lawrence Southern.
Yeah, one of my buddies actually sent me a list of it. He was freaking out. He left the minute he found this out. My other biggest thing though about like Russia, because I have like a really big problem with Russia and then conservatives ties to Russia, like that is such a huge issue for me. So like one of the and I can never talk about it on this platform because whenever I bring up Russia on a goddamn TikTok video, it gets 0 views, and then that also throws me down conspiratorial rabbit holes. But with Russia specifically, like when we look at, we were having Russians put out propaganda, misinformation, saying that Haitians were using 20 plus IDs to register to vote and vote for Kamala 20 times, and then we had Russia. Literally, Russia was responsible for calling in bomb threats to polling booths that were specifically in cities, because Democrats are mostly in the cities, to try to thwart blue voters from going to vote. And when I see Russia purposely helping out the right, I was hands off. I was like, I can't be over here. These fucking crazy
That's
Russian
interesting.
sympathizers.
I haven't heard about the Russia threatening to bomb poll stations. I haven't heard of that. I got to research that more.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. And I was a conservative when I heard about all this stuff, and I was like, what? What the fuck is this? And then the conservatives are like, no, it's okay. And some of them would be like, well, I mean, it's helping us. And I'm like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, you did not just say that.
I definitely do believe that there is more of a foreign interest group problem in the conservative movement than the liberal movement, 100 million %. I think that.
Well, I think there's more of a foreign interest group problem in the like influencer online conservative sphere than the left-wing influencer online sphere. But like when it comes to like just your standard politicians, I think both parties are like pretty sufficiently captured.
Yeah.
And which is interesting is like Charlie Kirk is going so hard at Zoran, right? That's his name, the mayor, or well, the future mayor of New York. He is gonna win,
He's gonna implement Sharia law.
and he's going so hard on him. But I'm like, do you think that they would be going as hard on him if he was pro-Israel? Do you think?
Yeah, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't. So it's almost like, it's interesting. It's like, Charlie Kirk has a problem with Zoran being like a Muslim immigrant. Would he have a problem with an Israeli immigrant congressman?
Yeah. That's wild. What's wild to me too is like, for example, like when they use the word they do not like the fact that he's a Muslim, but then they're okay with like Christianity or like hyper Christianity or like faith offices being implemented in the government. Now, obviously, I don't think the fears that they have about his religion, I don't think would ever come into fruition. I just don't think that's reality. But it's interesting to me what they pick and choose is okay and what's not.
Look, I think no offense, Scratch, I think socialism is scary, and the fact that that's probably going to be adopted in my...
Can you define socialism for me?
Me?
Bro,
yeah.
The means of production being owned by the people or the state.
Fine, good enough answer. That's the best answer I've heard from a conservative in a while. I get a pass.
Yeah, I'll get a pass. Like I just don't state-run grocery stores. I don't think that's gonna work. Freezing the rent, it's gonna destroy the housing market. I just don't think these policies are gonna work, and that's just...
I don't think if the idea is it's a temporary rent freeze, and I don't. Rent freezing on its own like makes no sense. I agree with some, but it's a temporary rent freeze while they build more housing for people. So if they're building more housing while there's a rent freeze, I don't think that would like affect the economy that much.
My
I don't
biggest
think
thing.
it wouldn't lead to overconsumption because you're also increasing the supply. Not to say like I don't know if that's like the policy I would particularly implement. I just don't think it's going to be as disastrous as people are making it out to be.
Hey, Camel, if you want to keep talking about Destiny, if you have a big problem with him, you can just come up here and talk about it. Because if you're going to keep comment spamming, I'm just going to block you because it's annoying. Like, if you have, like, the gonads to come up here and speak, then do it. If not, you're just a keyboard warrior. Mother's basement syndrome, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think
My thing with
like
socialism being implemented in New York is, do we not think that the businesses that for okay, and I don't like how I said that, but if he implements some of his policies, and do we not, because okay, America implements it, well, the businesses don't have anywhere to easily run, they'd have to go international, but would they not just like move out of New York, and
No,
then
they are. They
and then
are.
New
Like
York would just be like fucked?
there's a huge problem with all these corporations leaving New York. It is a major problem. Like there is a mass exodus of corporations leaving New York right now, and he's gonna double. Like I think corporate tax right now is like at 7%. He's gonna make it about 12.5%. Like and under Bill De Blasio, the mayor before Adams, like he implemented taxes to 7%, and so many corporations left. Like so many corporations are gonna to leave now. Like it's
is
gonna
that
be
true?
a problem. Yeah. Um, even if you saw in 2022 when the government raised income tax, they actually took less revenue 2 years later because all the people left. The rich people are just gonna move to Florida or move to Texas.
That's a huge claim. That's a huge claim. Wait, what source are you using to say that?
I don't have the exact source with me, but search up 2022 income tax New York City, and they brought in less revenue in 2024 than they did the first time.
Really quickly, I'm so sorry, but I totally forgot. EET, you were in the comments saying that you really had something you wanted to say, and I didn't mean to forget about you. Did you want to say that? Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, kind of forgot because of time.
The Yap Fest.
Uh, yeah, it's kind of hard to remember.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I just like I'm not. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with like any of the data around this, but like if I was to make a super basic argument, just be like a classic, like you're a mere correlation of businesses leaving New York with like an increased tax doesn't necessarily mean it caused it.
I mean, you can infer though. If all these, like, why would
No, you can't.
if the government raises taxes and then at the same time all these corporations are leaving, I feel like there is a good correlation there.
How do you not know it's not because that place is raising taxes, because other places have taxes that are lowering taxes? Or how do you not know it's because maybe a lot of these financial businesses are it's just easier for them to relocate to certain areas in the US because they're going global? Like how do you know any of these like certain factors? Right? You're just I think you're just saying like this. You're just picking the reason that's like most convenient to the conversation
But
currently.
let's
That's what the correlation versus causation fallacy is. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not saying like it isn't causing it because I'm not familiar with it. But your argument also doesn't prove what you're saying.
I know, but like you kind of have to infer like besides raising taxes, like obviously Florida and Texas lower their taxes. They don't have state tax. Which you could just say, but that's still an argument that New York still has too high of taxes if they're leaving because of other states' taxes system. And then when it comes to just location to deal with because they're becoming more international, I don't know about that. I feel like if you have the corporations are going to become
I'm just giving you confounding variables. I'm not saying like those are actually the reasons it's happening. I don't actually know, right? Right? Like it could be like, oh, for this and this reason, this is why we need to relocate somewhere else. The correlation causation fallacy still like exists there. I'm not like trying to give specific reasons why something. The reasons don't have to be like great themselves in the example, but like for instance, like the even just doing cursory Google search, Like the trend you're talking about has been happening since 2020, and yet you were saying that it was for specifically 2022 income tax, which caused it. So it was already happening 2 years
Well,
prior to that.
that's one tax. I think COVID obviously played a factor into it. I think
Okay,
Blasio also did play a factor into it with taxes. I think it's multiple factors of it, but at the end of the day, I think taxes are the main causation of a lot of companies leaving.
but my point again, like you're even giving yourself confounding variables that could like make the data make your like inference confused. You don't even know like how much of an impact does COVID have versus like income tax.
Well, I can give you sources that, JP Morgan's moving a lot of production from New York to Florida. And one of the main reasons why the CEO said was tax hikes. And a lot of corporations have threatened to leave if Zohar wins because of tax hikes. I think you can safely infer that higher taxes would,
Like
you know,
what
have,
other businesses have
I don't know on the top. I know JP Morgan. I don't know on the top of my head. Like,
one business leaving?
We'll see how it all plays out. This is my mindset
Like
behind it. Is like if it plays out and and we get proven wrong,
I mean, I
well,
hope
so
I
be
get
it.
proven wrong.
That's my mindset for everything. Like I hope I get proven wrong, but if I don't, then I don't, and then trying something else. Because this is my thing with politics. It's like it's a pendulum that continues to swing back and forth, and we just never get represented anyways, or the representation is so fucking slow that I'm just like, whatever, dude. I'm gonna pass here in like 50 years anyways. Hopefully the kids handle it pretty well. I'm just fucked.
No, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I hope I'm proven wrong. I just kind of know, like, if you're going to double the corporate tax rate, like, and you
what
can already see that there is correlate, whether you could say correlate,
7 to 12% is not doubling, dude.
okay, 7 to 12.5%, not doubling, but close to doubling. Like, what is it, like 60% more, 70% more? That's not doubling, but that's still a
Mhm.
big shift.
Like, let's keep in mind, by the way, that like Zoran promised to cut regulation too.
But like, look at some of it. He's gonna tax an extra 220,000 to every $1 million earned. Like that's gonna be a 51% tax increase on a lot of millionaires. And,
He's
and
gonna
not
tax. Wait, how much extra for every 1 million?
every 1 million someone earns, he's gonna income tax that 20,000 extra. And not the cry to the millionaires, oh poor, you know what I mean? Like, oh poor rich people, but like, people are gonna move. Like in general, like it sucks that we live in that. Unless it's implemented all around the country, people are just gonna leave the city, and it's just gonna cause the further decline of the city. Like that's just my opinion.
Yeah, he says those earning above 1 million annually, a flat 2% tax. Wait, I'm not. Where is this in positive? Those earning above 1 million annually, a flat 2% tax. Essentially, right now the city income tax rates are essentially the same as whether you make 50,000 or 50 million. Zoran will also implement common sense procurement reform.
I don't know. I just don't like.
An annual 2% flat tax. I don't think that's that bad.
Yeah, I am actually pretty radical when it comes to economics. I think that we do need tariffs. I think that the way our current economy is set up is not beneficial to the average American. I think it's completely
Wait,
financial. I think that local communities and local towns are completely destroyed because they don't have industry anymore. And I think that we do need broad, huge tariffs to actually bring back industry.
so you were just criticizing Zoran for taxes, and now you're okay when Trump implements a tax?
Well, I'm criticizing Zohan for doubling. Well, okay, not adding 70% extra to corporate taxes when the whole country's not like that, and New York's already in decline because of high taxes.
Like
Um,
you're asserting a statement that hasn't been proven in this argument.
oh my,
You're
okay.
begging you're
So,
begging to question
so
the
me,
question of if taxes are causing businesses to leave New York has not been answered or agreed upon, and you're just asserting it to try and prove another claim.
let me get you a JP Morgan article. where the CEO talks about.
I said one business isn't like the data we need to try and like infer this.
JP Morgan's like a huge
Business loss in New York.
JP Morgan like firing thousands of employees that work in New York City is a pretty big deal.
Hey guys, you're gonna hate me, but I got a Discord call I gotta take here. About 10 minutes.
No, go ahead. I get you. You hate us. That's fine.
No,
No,
I mean
go
you can. Oh, I gotta invite you to
That's
this. I gotta invite. Are you in my Discord?
No, I'm not.
That's really gay, man.
What can I? How do I join?
You gotta get the link in my bio. I'm gonna put you in the secret channel. We're gonna be doing a family chat FaceTime tonight. Burger, you should join too. You can always come up here whenever you want and talk. I love fucking conservatives like you. You're just chill and you can actually have conversations and you don't scream, and you probably feel the same way vice versa, but
Yeah, I think like now especially it's important to actually talk about like policies and politics like calmly because I feel like
Wait, I don't see it. Is it on your link tree? Like I don't see it.
yeah, you have to scroll. Everyone keeps saying that, but I know it's got to be there. I'm not crazy. Am I crazy? Is it not in the link tree in the bio? Have I been telling? No, it has to be because people have been joining it. You just got to scroll down a little bit. Unfuck America Tour is taking up half the link tree.
wait, what do you think about the Unfuck America tour? Like
We are the Unfuck America Tour. I am creator on there. Z's with me because she's the fucking organizer, badass bitch, like doing this while pregnant. She's a queen. We got Destiny with us on the Unfuck America Tour. We have Anne debates. We're getting
Notice how I wasn't invited.
Scratch. You can be Scratch. I will literally send you the paperwork. today.
I'm joking. I can't afford to fly down there to do it.
But
dude.
you don't. But that's the thing is you don't have to. Like even if you're on just debating like on the internet, you want to make some content. That's all we need.
where are you guys going?
We're going to Tampa. We're gonna meet Charlie at the Turning Point USA Student Action Summit. We're gonna go down
Well,
there.
I can't make. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We're gonna go down to Media Row and debate like Myron Gaines and shit.
I can't make content right now because my this is from my phone, right? And as I got the mic, but my just got a new PC and my fucking I got a new PC, but my monitor for some reason isn't here yet because FedEx sucks. So I'm just waiting till that comes and then I can start making content again.
Liberal Hawk just messaged me. Yeah, well, I mean, the minute that happens, you can still get in the Unfuck America Discord anyways. And the minute you want to start making content for us, we'll send you.
I still have a gaming laptop. I just can't do TikTok Studio for some reason because TikTok Studio after the update takes up an absurd amount of RAM.
Why don't you just like you have your phone? Why don't you just like get on there and be like, "Hi, Charlie Kirk sucks. Join me at the tour, bruh," and then just like shout out some dates and some links,
Based. Okay, I could do that.
like straight up. And then you just send it to us and we'll post it, and you post it on your page and.
Okay.
Scratch are cool as fuck, and I think you'd
Hopefully,
be fun to have.
everyone. Yeah, you sold yourself out, Scratch, for the Unfuck America tour.
I think that we're like the least sold out crew. We're the only ones on the left who aren't sold out. We're all just like we're all the outcasts. We're the people that everyone said was too edgelord. So we had to,
There was a lot of drama with the first.
bro, because Cuck 1 and Cuck 2 couldn't control themselves and decided to destroy the whole thing because they said, "Oh my god, this is incredibly fucking microaggressive." That's the funniest thing about what like when they say that sentence, they have to microaggressive or microaggression in itself sounds so small that they have to put incredibly in front of it in order to make it bigger than it is because that's how much they're trying to blow it up over nothing.
What do you think, Don? If you're gonna just
Cold pizza, Dean.
Cold Pizza Run. Did you see?
Absolutely.
Did you see
fucking
some of the
tough,
Reddit
okay.
memes that were coming out on the Destiny Reddit?
No.
Dude.
About his
Dude.
my pizza's cold. By the
It's
way,
like-
just
there's
so you
like
know,
a
okay,
whole
I'm
pizza
about to leave your
pizza.
live, Mercedes. I'm about to leave your live. Just so you know, this is not me running. I legitimately have pizza that's cold. Okay, let me now talk for the next 30 minutes about some random bullshit. See, my pizza. Okay,
My cinnamon bites. I didn't even get to eat my cinnamon bites. It's like, okay, bro. Like, but what I don't like about that is to me, it's giving like it's giving like child vibes, and I'm like, dude, this is the person representing a lot of us right now, and I'm like, I'm not
Nobody.
I am not associating with this. My
Yeah.
problem with it is I believe everyone has their place, but if you have your place, stay in your place. My issue arises when you think that your place is to destroy everything that isn't the place that you're in. Like, bro, just go fucking eat your cold pizza and leave everyone alone.
Well, let's remember, it's literally, it's just optics. That's all he cares about. He did. I don't know if he actually cared about the conversation. He just cared that when he left the conversation, him running didn't look like him running.
Yeah, that's why he opened up with his goddamn pizza. He literally, but he does this on every single live that he joins. Every single live I've ever seen him join when he's not the one debating, he'll start it by saying, "Well, I can't actually talk long." It's literally only when it's going to be potentially confrontational, and he'll go in there. He did it for the 4+ times, maybe that I'd say. I think there was like 4, maybe 5 times that he jumped on to our lives during the whole explosion of the tour. He would come in and be like, "Well, I can't talk long," and then he'd be like, "Talk shit, talk shit, talk shit," and then he'd leave, and I'd be like, bro, why?
Yeah, so if he starts getting pressed too much, he has an excuse to go.
Yeah, I'll send you those memes. They're kind of hilarious. Like, it's a whole ass piece of pizza running away, and it's his name. Which, I mean, I don't think it's factually accurate because they put pepperoni on the pizza, and like the pizza he ordered was soy level ultra 10,000. It was cheese. It's probably vegan cheese, but
Why?
Don't get audience captured. Ultimately, I'm sorry, even for the people, the 20 people who consistently come into my life, thank y'all. A lot of y'all are dumb.
yeah, I would rather deal with 20 people who don't try to get me to capitulate to their fucking freak fantasies than deal with thousands of people who will be down my throat the minute I say something like, I stub my toe and I'm like, oh, that's gay. Or like, I mean, I've seen these people get torn apart for saying things like son of a bitch because apparently you can't say that without being called a misogynist. And I'm like, that's psychotic.
Yeah, I was calling somebody, I called some like Mega an idiot on a panel, and it was like, that's ableist. I
Oh,
was like,
shit, man.
it's okay to be ableist to Mega. No, it's not.
I'm so done. They were reaming me because it was Jasmine Crockett. Is it Crockett or Crocker? Crocker?
I don't know. I don't know. How to
Whatever.
pronounce it.
Thanks for not even jumping on my throat on that, but she said Governor Hot Wheels. Mind you, like, we're all in Texas. I go down to a drag bar, and the queen is on stage screaming, fuck Governor Hot Wheels, right? Like, that's just normal here in Texas. And she said that, and I got so much flack from liberals for literally putting on my Threads account, I stand with Jasmine Crockett, about the Governor Hot Wheels situation. They're like, oh my god, you're an ableist piece of shit, Mercedes, as I'm sitting here fighting for this side for the past 8 months, and they're like, anything prior that you've ever said is absolute trash. If you stand with a black queen, like what? Like, I'm so
Wait,
confused.
do you know who Xander Hall is? Ex Xander Hall? No. He was
I think I've seen that name. Is someone in TikTok?
No, that's not on YouTube.
Okay, then no.
He got popular because of Vosh. You know who Vosh is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got popular because of him. And basically, he used to be like a neo schmazi, right? And so he basically reformed to the left. But everybody in the left is like, he hasn't done enough to renounce his schmaziism.
Oh, Lord.
We can't consider him to be on. I was like, holy shit.
No, and that's the wildest thing too, is like they want people to come over here and denounce the right, and they want everyone to vote on this side, and they want people to stop voting for MAGA. And the minute someone does that, they scream at them, almost to the point where they second guess going back. And it's like, so your existence is counterproductive, or are you, like, what's wrong with you?
That's
I think someone said like the left is like the social club.
Yeah, it's
That's
psychotic.
what, leftists.
Would you guys say that the left's getting more popular or the right's getting more popular?
The right.
Right now.
Yeah. We're in a pendulum shift. Talk to me in 10 years, and the right's going to be getting more popular again. Like, the left is going to get popular, and then the right's going to get popular, and we're just going to keep saying this over and over again until we have a strong party that is like third or like voter choice and things like that. Like, until we get more people, more parties, I think we're going to continue to see pendulum shifting, because we have two sides that are built on the refusal to come together in bipartisanship. They're just one extreme or the other, fighting for their ideology or this ideology. And I think the pendulum shifting is going to keep happening until we have someone who's in the middle and is like, stops the pendulum. I don't know.
Would you
I would
guys
like
say,
4 parties.
would you guys say that politics have gotten more radical in these
Yeah,
past few years?
yeah, and I think social media has a big thing to do with it.
I would say it's so interesting how people are so radicalized on both sides. I think that's an interesting dynamic, especially like, is there? I think what you were saying that there's always a shift every like few years. You know,
Mm-hmm.
whoever's in charge, it seems like the opposition's able to attack them better. So then, when Biden was in charge, conservatives kind of grew, and I feel like it's kind of having a different shift now. I feel like liberal creators are kind of getting more popular because we live in a conservative mainstream right now. But if things are getting more radical, will the shift still happen the same? Like, it's harder for someone to become an extreme leftist to an extreme rightist, rather than just a moderate right to a moderate left.
Um, I just think it's like a pattern that's going to keep happening. So like you're just going to have a party that rises into power, and then some of the people get sick of it. I think most of what happens in this country, not necessarily when it comes to like the social of things, but more like policy wise, is dependent. When I say policy wise, I mean like who's getting elected. I think it's more dependent on the people in the middle. But when it comes to, 'cause it's like there's two different realities. There's the people who live online, and then there's the people who like live in real life. I don't think this issue is as bad in real life as it is online, but there are some people. I think a more bigger group of people who are being radicalized by online behaviors and on this online discourse. I think that it's just going to be for example, I'd be interested to see in what happens because I think the rise of the right though was actively happening under Biden and actively happening under Trump. Like Trump's push on the pendulum swing, I think, has been perpetually moving forward for the past 10 years. So I don't know. I don't even think I don't think it's even something that's necessarily driven by the president.
And Trump is, compared to 20 years ago, is radical. You know what I mean? If you could you imagine Trump being elected in like 2004 or like 2008? Like, it's so interesting to see like who's gonna get elected in 10 years. Like, who's next for the left? Like, because I think this Democratic mayor race was kind of a testing ground. You had the, Cuomo, deeply establishment figure, and you have Zohar, who's more of a radical element of the party. And will that happen, around the country? Like, are you guys gonna have a Gavin Newsom? Are you gonna have like an AOC?
I mean,
I think we're gonna. My prediction: Pete Buttigieg, and then AOC as VP. Okay, that's my ideal candidate. We can
is that
appeal
your
to the
prediction?
moderate.
Is that your
That's
prediction?
my prediction, and that's my hope. Because
Okay.
at that point, what we have is we have Pete Buttigieg. He's really articulate when it comes to policy. I think he's going to appeal a lot to the more moderate people, liberals and conservatives. And then AOC is going to like drag in and pull in the more like leftist people. And at that point, like even if like Hassan or like Dean or whatever, like oh my gosh, but like Pete Buttigieg supports Israel, we can say like oh, but AOC.
Yeah, my pragmatic side says Gavin Newsom, but my idealistic side says Pete. But then I've also like I just know it's interesting because the right has like really tried to capture like the LGBT community right now. But I just know if he ran, they're instantly gonna switch up on gay people.
Oh my god, it's
like,
gonna be
yeah,
so.
It's gonna be
They're gonna see
hilarious.
panels.
Yeah,
It's like, what's wrong with being gay? It's like
Yeah.
being gay means you're weak.
Yeah.
Putin, get this. Vladimir Putin will actively go start more wars and start invading more countries just because Pete is gay, and being gay immediately means you're weak.
No, it's wild
That's
because
why. We
they'll
can't have a weak president.
No, they'll actively pretend like they're for something. So they actively pretend they're pro woman, and then Kamala Harris runs, and then they use every single low ass like tactic that is specifically misogynistic against her, saying things like she slept her way to the top, this, and that. So it's just funny how they do this. So I cannot wait for it to be the LGBT for Trump next, because they're going to do the exact same thing. If Pete runs, all their fucking attacks against Pete are going to be over the fact that he's gay, and then all the LGBT members for Trump are going to be like, crashing out actively. They're not even gonna know what's happening to them. It's gonna be hilarious. I thought the Republican Party supported us. Like it's as the support for gay marriage
Oh.
within the Republican Party like actively has been tanking over the past fucking 6 years. It's hilarious. These people are gonna be fucked.
I think it is going to be Gavin Newsom and Pete or AOC on the SVP. You know, something to energize.
You said
Someone-
AOC is VP?
Yeah, AOC or Pete. But I think that the ticket. I don't think the DNC is going to allow like an AOC to like win the ticket. Or,
Oh
like,
no,
a-
I mean I don't even think we're gonna run another. I honestly do not think we're gonna run a woman because we ran Hillary, we lost. We ran Kamala, we lost. I think hopefully, and it's not that I'm anti-woman president. It's just I'm like really realistic here, and I think that the country is not ready to elect a female. So I believe that they should know better than to try to run a female candidate, and that's again not me being misogynistic, but just straight up being real.
you think the country's ready to elect a gay man?
I also don't think so. That's why my first pick for being pragmatic is Gavin Newsom, idealistic Pete.
That makes sense. So I think it will be Gavin Newsom and then AOC. I don't know. I don't think the leftists really get excited about Pete as AOC. Like, will they get energized?
I
But
love
he-
policy. I'm a policy wonk myself. I love policy wonk. But look, my phone's at 5% here. I got one more topic I want to talk about. So I know, Burger, I know you voted for Donald Trump. You're familiar with the fake elector scheme?
What, the 2020?
Yep.
Yeah, what about it?
You're familiar that Donald Trump tried to use fake electors to try and illegally make himself president?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would admit then he attempted to coup the government then?
I think, okay, you guys are going to hate me now. I think that there was some sus stuff in the 2020 election. I
He's
think,
gonna
Sus
go
stuff?
He's gonna go deep
Stop!
state on
Wait.
us.
He literally tried to unilaterally throw out valid electoral college votes to make himself president.
okay, well, listen.
That's
No.
conspiracy to. That
He's
he's
going
literally
to.
Let me counteract that. I think listen to Jesse Jacobs. Multiple poll workers claim that there was irregularities, and
Wait. Are you justifying the attempted coup now?
I think that the federal
Because we could talk about if like there was election irregularities, but the fact is that Donald Trump broke multiple state laws and was conspiratizing to break federal laws to make himself president illegally.
what with Mike Pence?
Or conspiring, not conspiratizing. I just made up a fucking word, whatever.
It's okay. It
I'll
sounded
give you
great.
that.
I don't know. I think that I found it weird that the courts didn't even look at the evidence. They just said he doesn't have standing, which is like the president doesn't.
Okay.
Have standing. And when it comes to mail-in ballots, they're illegal in France. They're highly susceptible to fraud. I just find it a little weird that all these judges just said they didn't have standing. I mean, you had 60 or 70 poll workers claim irregularities, and none of those cases had standing. Why weren't any of those cases able to have standing? It's a little weird, but that's just my opinion. I think that J6 was bad. I don't think people should have stormed the Capitol. I don't think it was Trump's fault that people stormed the Capitol.
What? You know, my mom was at the J6 event.
My aunt was at the J6 event.
Yeah,
She didn't storm the Capitol though. She was.
my
just-
mom was there. She did.
She did. Really? What, did she get in trouble or no?
No, there's a bunch of people who didn't. There's a shit ton of people who didn't. I think it's really just the ones who were violent. My mom was there specifically with a coffee mug, and she claims up and down that everything. But my mom's like heavy Q, so she claims up and down that everything that you see was like AI generated, and that everyone was 100% peaceful. But my mom also says things like JFK is still alive, and she actively went to Dallas in order to, with a group of there was like a group of 500 people who showed up in Dallas waiting for JFK to roll down in a limo, announcing that he was never taken out.
That's interesting. I never heard that people still believe JFK is.
It's part of that. It's part of that heavy Q stuff. The babies under the White House and crazy crazy shit.
My aunt's still like super pro Israel, and I'm trying to tell her, I'm like, she's like, oh, Iran, they're trying to kill Americans. They're a religious, the mullahs, and that's hard to like tell her, like, yo, chill.
Yeah. I think it's like as they get older, I don't know if it's just like they're bored or what's going on. They're susceptible to like online propaganda and stuff, but it's interesting to see. She's cooling down now. She's definitely gotten a lot better, but goddamn 2020, like basically the entirety of of the Biden administration. I know COVID really exacerbated things for her, and then during the election, but now she's starting to cool down, and we'll see how long that lasts. I mean, like she was going full on like the sky is AI generated and psycho shit, man.
That's interesting. My aunt's kind of like that too. When she goes on a rant, she doesn't stop. She did go to J6, but which is crazy to me. I think that's crazy. J6 happened though. I do think that there was some sus stuff when it comes to election. Do I know that? I don't think the government rigged it. Maybe people themselves rigged it. I think the FBI director's looking at the Chinese Communist Party for printing a bunch of fake driving license. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I think the more I research it, the more like I get complex on the issue.
It's hard because we just have two parties that are notorious for lying, and we have a government that's notorious for lying, and we have like, you know, the conspiracy theory crowd that tend to randomly get proven right, and you're just like, bro, what? Like, okay, so it's hard to fully believe anything that one side is pushing. I'm seeing it today. So for example, this is an issue with my side that happens a lot. Now I'm not. This is not an endorsement of Alligator Alcatraz, right? But there's I saw a video today of like them setting up Alligator Alcatraz, right? And they have like hundreds of AC units. They're trying to make the accommodations. I don't think they're going to be the best accommodations. No, again, this is not an endorsement. But like my side will grasp onto things and be like, they're putting them in like 120-degree weather with no air conditioning on the concrete with no shade. But then you go look at like what they're building, and it is tented
Yeah.
as fuck with like mass AC units on concrete, like but it's leveled up. They've built a secondary foundation to keep it insulated off the ground so it doesn't heat up as much, and they have showers and like so it's just both sides do this thing like, okay, my side does that, and then the right is like, oh my god, they're hurtling fucking hurricanes to thwart the 2024 election and for what they're the Democrats hurricane machine, and it's like during hurricane season. So
Yeah.
both sides just do some shit, and I look at them and I'm like, I hate your propaganda. I hate that you have to lie to me to try to win me over. I hate that you lie to the American people to keep them divided. It just sucks.
What is your like Destiny's like political affiliate? Like, what are you guys? Are you guys just like moderate liberals, or like what's your?
I mean, I think it's fair to call me a moderate liberal. I guess I'm a liberal. People say I take the liberal title because people say that means I am moderate anyways, but like I would call myself a moderate, to be honest, because there's policy that I pull from both sides, definitely. Some that I probably can't. Some that I'm not ready to talk about on this live simply because I'm working out of my. It's not necessarily that I got audience captured, but I did not come out the gate explaining to these people enough that I am not a leftist. And then they went psychotic on me when I said that I wouldn't capitulate to their incredibly aggressive microaggressions. So, we probably agree on a lot.
No, it is interesting. One more point, and then I'll probably have to go soon. But do you think that you're swinging more left or right in these past couple of months? Like your political.
I've pretty much stayed. So like So for example, I've pretty much operated as the same person. I just realized that my values align more with like classical liberal stances. But I don't think I necessarily have shifted one way or like the other. Like the whole entire time I was in MAGA, I was basically a classical liberal who lacked information to make proper decisions about like my beliefs. So, for example, there was a couple things that I had no idea about, or some things that I believed that caused me to think a certain way while I was over there. But I think my values have stayed the same. So I
What
don't
was
think
the
I've.
moment you're like, I'm not MAGA anymore? Like, what was the moment that kind of woke you up?
Um, it was the crazy lies that MAGA was using in order to win the election. So, like, something that pissed me off was they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and then they got a picture of a woman from Canton, Ohio, who, yeah, happened to like munch a cat, but she was an American born citizen from Canton, Ohio. And like the fact that they plastered that everywhere and stated that that was an immigrant from, you know, Haiti, even though that was an American US born citizen from Canton, Ohio. That pissed me off. The amount of people over there who genuinely believed in Democrat hurricane machines pissed me off. There was a picture of Donald Trump running through floodwaters carrying like a dog and a cat, and he's like wearing jeans. This is an AI generated image, and it's going across Twitter like a wildfire, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, thank you, Daddy Trump." And I'm like, holy shit, this is AI generated. He's got a claw hand and he's wearing jeans. When the fuck have you ever seen Donald Trump wearing jeans? So it was the psychos of that party that really drove me away. And then there was things that I'd see that would happen. Like one of my biggest issues is I'm a big proponent of like health. I think I am like one of those who are. I would be Maha if they weren't psycho Maha. Like for example, I have a problem with like dyes in food. I have
Yeah.
a problem with certain chemicals in food. But then I look at legislation and then I see that Republicans continue to either vote against certain things that would remove those chemicals, or they do things like overturn water EPA protections. Like something that really pissed me off was JFK came out, or RFK came out and he said, "Oh, I'm going to sue the Trump administration during his first term for overturning water EPA protections," because he hired like the Attorney General of Oklahoma and put him in head of the health department, and they overturned the EPA water protections. JFK sued him in his first term, and then JFK comes out and he's like, "Yeah, maha with Donald Trump," which is just crazy to me. Then I think of things like this. I say, okay, if Republicans want to deregulate, and then they say they want the chemicals out of foods, and I'm like really confused because not only has their legislative track record told me that's not happening, but then we look at California and they were the first state because of the Democratic majority to put regulations on red dye. And then I look at other countries who have regulated it, and Republicans call them like liberal hellholes, but then they had regulations on certain foods. So like as an extremely health conscious person, that frustrated me. So
Well, what do
I
you think
mean,
about his administration now? Like, you think it's been as bad as you thought, or do you think it's
my biggest issue is like the handling of. I'd say my biggest issue is the handling on some of these deportations. Like I don't think some of these students should just be getting their visas revoked, or I think that I'd prefer Donald Trump to go strictly after criminals and not just necessarily families that don't have any criminal track records. But at the same time, for example, like Obama in his first term, 91% of the people he deported were not criminals. And he got sued by the ACLU for it. You know what I mean? He fixed it in his second term. And in his second term, I think it was like 52% were
not criminals?
no, the other way around. The other way around. 52% in his first term were criminals, and then by his only 52% in his first term were criminals, but by his second term 91% were criminals. So he ended up fixing that. Instead of doing half criminals, half families, it turned into 91% criminals, and then the majority of the rest like recent crossings. And I wish Donald Trump would also do that as well, because I just think like if we spent more time on the criminals, I don't know, I think that matters to me. But other than that, like, I think the economy's fine right now. I don't like when liberals are running, like liberals will run around and be like, "Oh my God, the economy's gonna die," and then like when the economy doesn't lose its shit, they're sitting here in silence, and I think that's annoying.
Like I asked like Parker like what's one, and he's like WASP, and then the first step back, and he's like, oh, this first term has been disastrous. It's always panicking and always flailing. I don't like again. I'm conservative. I don't
You
think
know what?
Biden was that bad. Like I don't think Biden was terrible.
There's one more thing that Trump has done that I really fucking love, and it's either a crime. I think it's a crime to put like if pretend you had an explicit photo of me and you loaded it up on the internet. Like it's a crime now to do that because of a law that was passed, and I think I forget what the name of it. Crime to upload naked photo unconsensually. What does anyone in the comment sections know what that law that he passed is? I thought that was so fucking cool. It's a new law criminalizes the posting of non-consensual explicit images signed by Trump. The law is called
Data protections.
Data protections.
That's
I don't
what someone's saying.
I don't know if is that the name of it?
Digital data protections. That's what someone said in the chat.
Yeah, I think that's sick as fuck. I think that is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and I actually I'm pretty impressed with this first term. I think that the deportations, I don't know, when it comes to like tariffs and immigration, I just think that a lot of these like corporate companies are really putting their own profits. And I don't blame the immigrants. Like, I don't think that immigrants should be dehumanized. They should be blamed. They should be attacked. But I think that these corporations are using free trade and illegal immigration to benefit their profits, which is hurting the middle class people. And that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, we'll continue to debate that as time goes on. But like, we probably agree on a lot. Like, for example, like what's happening in a lot of places in Europe, I totally do not want that to happen in America. You know, it's funny because like I've talked to some people who are over in certain parts of Europe who they would consider themselves on the left, and they're like, hey, like we're getting fined for just typing certain words out on our laptop or on our computer. And like to me, that's just, I was raised in America, man. You know what I mean? Like I am under the impression that I can, God forbid, you know, but you could literally walk into a grocery store and start eating the food before you leave and pay for the empty wrapper. And
Yeah.
then like, and that's it. Like nothing's going to happen to you. And in another country, you'd be facing like 10 years or something. Like I love what America is, and I want to preserve what America is. And I think like the hate speech laws of the UK are absolutely nuts. Like, fuck no, you know. So
The
and
UK and Europe is like horrible right now with the like free speech laws. Like free speech, that's like greatly important to me. And in general, like it is interesting that the Republicans are probably more of the free speech party. I think when it comes to the Israel stuff, probably not. Like them deporting students for like speaking out against Israel, I think that's crazy. You know, I think that's wrong. Like I wouldn't say that, but yeah, I'm not sure.
cool. Well, buddy, you are welcome up here anytime. You are an absolute pleasure to talk to. Like, fuck yeah, thank God. Thank God. You're cool as fuck. I gotta go take this call now, but you can come up here anytime. You're awesome.
Nice talking to you. Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys. I'm gonna get off here and I'm gonna go. Damn, we're just like way up in here. I'm gonna go take this call on Discord really quick. And is Ray in jail too? Ray is not in jail. I talked to him a couple weeks ago. He's doing fine and dandy. His mental health is doing pretty good, so he's happy with his TikTok shop reviews. So I'm happy for him. I'm not a hateful bastard, you know what I mean? I don't sit here and prey on people's downfalls, but I pray on the older millennials' downfall, actually, and probably Donald Trump's. But other than that, bye, guys.